Ma'am, please welcome Dr. A.K. Singh, sir. Now I would like to invite Dean ma'am for the formal welcome address.
Thank you, Dr. Atul. A very warm good morning to one and all. Esteemed dignitaries on the dais, Padma Bhushan, Dr. R.S. Parada ji, our beloved President, IARI Alumni Association, and the Chairman TAS, the CIMMYT DG, Dr. Bram Govaerts, and Dr. Srinivas Rao sir, our IARI Director and the Chief Patron of the IARI Alumni Association, Secretary IARI Alumni Association, Dr. A.K. Singh ji, and all dignitaries in the front row, Dr. B.M. Prasanna sir, as on date, I would say our star alumnus, and of course, the managing director of the BISA and also the CIMMYT, and Dr. Mahesh Katharaji, the country head of the CIMMYT, Dr. A.K. Singh sir, our former director, IRI, and my dear friend, Dr. Brahmanand, PDWTC, my colleagues, HOD colleagues, professors, faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a proud moment for all of us to, again, through this particular lecture, again, celebrate the role of alumni in making IRI what it is today. And the consistent and the continuing role that we are going to, our alumni are going to play in making IRI what we say as a world-class higher education institution, or the more popularly which is called as a global university nowadays. And in that continued efforts of the IARI Alumni Association, IARI Alumni Association has in fact joined hands with the IARI per se to arrange these kind of lectures involving the world renowned experts in the fields which are of interest of IARI. And in that continued effort, today we have all assembled here to have a lecture of Dr. Bram. Dr. Bram, we feel honored. And on behalf of the IRI as the Joint Director Education and the IRI Alumni Association as the patron, I welcome you to this morning function. And sir, it's always with humility, I welcome you on behalf of IRI, sir, to this particular day morning function. And my welcome to one and all who have all gathered here. And my special thanks to the students, who spared their time and to be with us. Thank you very much to be here.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Director sir for introducing the speaker to the gathering and all those who have joined online with us today. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and it's a great pleasure. Again, I joined Dr. Anupama to welcome Dr. Bram and also Paroda Saab, the President of IARI Alumni Association, A.K. Singh Saab, Dr. Anupama, all colleagues, particularly Prasanna ji, who anchored this particularly designed and anchored this program to organize today at IARI. Thank you very much. Let me introduce today's guest speaker, and is a great maize scientist and currently working DG CIMMYT. And Dr. Bram is a Belgian bioscience engineer and soil scientist, currently serving as the Director General, Secretary General, and CEO of the International Maize and Wheat Improvement Center, that is CIMMYT, with a PhD in bioscience, engineering, and soil science, along with a master's and bachelor degrees in related to fields from KU Leuven, Belgium. He has dedicated his career to transforming global agri-food systems. Dr. Govaerts is renowned for his work for sustainable intensification, conservation agriculture, farmer-centered innovation, particularly through initiatives like Mexico Mass Agro, which impacted over 2.5 million people. His approach integrates science research, technology market access, and capacity building, improving productivity and resilience for smallholder farmers like Africa, South Asia, and Latin America. His contributions have been recognized with several prestigious awards, including 2014 Normal Borlaug Award to the Field Research and Application. He is a fellow of the American Society of Agronomy. He is also served as a AD White Professor at Large at Cornell University. Through his leadership, Dr. Bram continues to champion sustainable agriculture, climate resilient, and rural development across the world and the globe. So we again thank you, Dr. Bram. I think your presence will enrich our knowledge and also the way you have been working the science-led development to the ground level. And it will bring a lot of collaborations between ICR and CIMMYT, more particularly IARI and CIMMYT, our education system and our research, our extension, our policy, and socio-economic and ground scale impacts. So thank you very much. And it's, I think, new beginning through Dr. Prasanna, and who is anchoring here. I think we wish that our collaborations, IARI and CIMMYT collaborations, will reach greater heights with your leadership, and we will do our best possible to serve and to help smallholder farmers in the country and also other countries and South Asian countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for introduction of the speaker. Now I'd like to request the speaker of today's program, Dr. Bram Govaerts, DG CIMMYT, for delivering his lecture. They'll be linking it online here. Yes. शेयर करना सर
Okay, thank you. Right, good morning. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the invitation to come here. I want to thank, of course, the Alumni Association and the Honorable Dr. Paroda for this invitation, and of course, the leadership of one, and I hope you as students are aware that you are in one of the most famous and impactful research universities for agriculture. You have an honor to be able to study here. I mean, I was just looking to the brand book, and I told Mahesh and Prasanna, Regional Director for Asia of CIMMYT, and Mahesh, our India representative. CIMMYT needs a brand book as beautiful as this one. And of course, not many organizations can say that they have, I think, as much as 3 World Food Prize winners among their alumni. So I hope you realize how much impact you have had in the world. But not only that, I think in my presentation, we want to look at the past. We want to see where we are at the present, but especially, as Madame was saying, we want to write the future together. So I'm very honored with this esteemed panel that we together will write a new chapter. Today, I'm going to present you science and innovation for food security and for peace. You, of course, all know that we are in a very particular moment in the world. It is a world that is today driven by the impact of climate change. You can feel the heat out there. You can see how drought has impacted massive areas in the world. Of course, we have all seen the trade disruptions, and we have seen the geopolitics and conflicts. Unfortunately, those days you cannot wake up in the morning and you feel you have missed while you were sleeping, and the world has completely changed, unfortunately, sometimes not for the good. Those three drivers, of course, interact, and that makes things even more complex and more impactful. Climate change. These are actually a recent study, 2025, just out. If you haven't looked at it, and it's maybe a bit difficult to see, but the top there, that is maize. Of course, the most red that the map is, that is the potential loss, up to 100% loss of maize yields, even taking into account current adaptation capabilities. So if we take into account current adaptation capabilities, still, this is at the end of the century, the impact of climate change, if we don't accelerate technology even further. The number B, or the one that is to the right, number B there, that's soybean. You can see also rice, wheat, cassava, and sorghum. So if you look at wheat, also here for India, one of the important crops, huge impact by heat, end of the season heat stress. Very recent data. Other recent data just came out a week ago, a week and a half ago. The early warning hunger hotspots, June to October 2025. Once again, this year, more countries come back into a situation of acute food insecurity that will probably worsen the coming months. And you can see countries like Yemen, but also Somalia, South Sudan, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Mali, but also in the American continent, Haiti, Palestine, Chad, Myanmar. So countries that right now are at the brink of situations like 80 years ago, where maybe in areas where we are here today. And that brings us to the history. CIMMYT was created not 66 years ago, that's when we became an international center, but actually more than 80 years ago, around the 1940s, as a collaboration between the US Vice President, Henry Wallace. I don't know if many of you know Henry Wallace, but he was actually not only Vice President, he's also the one that invented the hybrid maize. And he came from Iowa and actually has a small, what is today a big company, but started a small company back then, today Corteva, which you may have heard of. Henry Wallace, Vice President of the US, back in the days in the 30s and 40s, he started CIMMYT. So actually what he did is he took his car when he was vice president, and he drove his car from Washington all the way to the capital in Mexico. And while he was driving, he could see Mexican agriculture being not as productive as he would have liked. But also he was very concerned because he saw that wheat production in Mexico was affected a lot by rust disease. And he was of course concerned that rust would not ask for a visa and so could potentially move into the US and affect US agriculture there. It's then that he decided, together with the president of Mexico, to start the Office of Special Studies. And to that Office of Special Studies, they invited a young boy, a young scientist like you here in the room from Iowa, to come and research. And that young scientist was, by now you should more or less know, Norman Borlaug. Norman Borlaug was an expert in rust in pine trees. But they thought if he knows about rust in pine trees, maybe he will also know a little bit about rust in wheat. So he changed his career to wheat. did wheat research in Mexico, and of course, working with people like Dr. Swaminathan, who we all respect deeply and will be celebrated in August to remember his impact. He really was the guide and the lightning rod here in the region, the compagnon de route, we say in French, the good friend of Dr. Borlaug that brought them those wheat varieties from Mexico all the way here to India. And thanks to collaborations with several of you here on the stage and this organization, this institute, you changed the view of the world and saved together 1 billion lives. That is the history. That is what later on, and actually you can see here a picture of Dr. Borlaug receiving the seat here in the port of India. And then later on, he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970s for having saved 1 billion lives. Who of you hasn't seen a statue of Dr. Borlaug? Who has seen a statue of Dr. Borlaug? So we get a bit active. All should have, right? At the entrance of ICAR, there is the statue of Dr. Borlaug. And like I said, later on, Dr. Borlaug won the Nobel Peace Prize. He asked the Nobel Peace Committee, can we have a can we have a Nobel Prize for agriculture? He didn't always get what he wanted because the Nobel Committee said, no, we cannot have a Nobel Prize for agriculture because Mr. Nobel did not leave that in his will, so it cannot be done. So he said, okay, then I will make my own Nobel Prize. I will make the World Food Prize with the money I received as my award. And so the World Food Prize became the Nobel Prize for agriculture. For CIMMYT, we are very proud that Angelina, but also Dr. Vassal, you know well, he was here at this IARI, and he received the World Food Prize for QPM maize. Of course, also another Indian friend received the World Food Prize, Dr. Sanjaya Rajaram. So you have several agricultural Nobel Prizes here at IARI. So you should be proud. CIMMYT, 1966, CIMMYT was created, and I have the honor today of being the Director General of CIMMYT, but it wouldn't be possible to have all this impact if it wasn't because of collaboration with IRR, with ICAR, and with brilliant scientists in the CIMMYT ecosystem. 70% of the wheat grown globally comes from the collaboration between CIMMYT and institutions like IRI. 50% also of the maize, especially in the global south, in the tropical areas, comes from CIMMYT. For every dollar invested, between $70 to $100, or let's say for every rupee invested, between 70 to 100 rupees come back to society for wheat, and between 22 and 35 for maize. Today, CIMMYT works in over 80 countries, 80. Every country that is green on this map is where CIMMYT has active activities today. We have offices in each of the points that you see on that map. Yes, our headquarters is in Mexico. I would say our second regional headquarters is here in Delhi for the region. And then we, of course, have Kenya for Nairobi to serve Africa. Multiple other offices from which we serve the rest of the world. Why am I saying this? Because this is very important to you as a student, because we have activities here in India, but also in the region. And we just had a discussion that maybe we need to become student partners. So we will negotiate that agreement. So you students should come and work so that you know that your work will have impact, not just in India, but it will have impact maybe in Africa, maybe in Latin America, maybe in the Asia Pacific. CIMMYT has a new mission. Our mission is science and innovation for a food and nutrition secure world. If we look at the Green Revolution made sure that we had enough calories produced for the population to not have hunger. But today, we know food is also medicine. So we need also the nutritious element to be covered and resolved. Hence, our new mission is science and innovation for a food and nutrition secure world. Because food and nutrition are a core element of security, of national and international security. If there is no food security, you get conflicts. It was Borlaug himself who said, a hungry man is an angry man, or a hungry woman is an angry woman. And maybe you know a bit yourself, if you are hungry, you get, at least I get very grumpy. So we know that a hungry man, a hungry woman is an angry man or woman. CIMMYT has a 2030 strategy, and your dean has the code, so they can share with you. In that 2030 strategy that supports the One CGIAR strategy, CIMMYT is part of the CGIAR ecosystem. It came through an inclusive participatory process, and it is a vision to transform agriculture and improve lives. In that new strategy, we evolve our core business as an organization, and today we want to accelerate food system transformation. It's not only about the seed, it is not only about crop protection, it is not only about the soil, it is not only about mechanization, it is about bringing that all together and transform the food system. Because food system have consumers, have markets that need to work. So all those innovations that we have on plants, on soils, etc., work together so that we have a functional food system within planetary boundaries. In order to do that, we want collective action. That's why I'm here today. I want you to be interested in activating your action towards food system transformation. We want a productive system, but also an inclusive system. We don't want a system that excludes women or youth. We want to bring women and youth at the heart of the transformation. And we need agri-food systems that are resilient, that can sustain shocks, that can respond to climate shocks. And actually, I think India needs somewhat of a nationwide resilience building effort for climate change in agriculture. So in that sense, we want to advance global food and nutrition security within planetary boundaries. To do that, CIMMYT has three strategic components or three strategic pillars. We have a discovery pillar, which is where we do the science, the new varieties, the new agronomy, the newest decision support tools. We also have a pillar that looks at system dev. This is developing big programs in which we work together with multiple public and private stakeholders, NGOs, but also seed companies in order to provoke a change. We have done that in Mexico with Masagro. We have done that. We are doing that here in the region through the BISA farms as a center around which we collaborate with the KVKs, collaborate with the seed companies, collaborate with ICAR, collaborate with you. The third pillar is called CIMMYT Inc. CIMMYT Inc. is where we want to work with startups, where we want to work with different business models. Because today we receive resources from donors, Gates Foundation, USAID, Germany, countries. But as you know, USAID no longer is there. So we need to rethink our business model. And that's what we want to do with that third pillar. What's the CIMMYT journey? CIMMYT safeguards for humanity in Mexico in a big bunker, 124,000 unique wheat accessions and 28,500 unique maize accessions, representing the biodiversity of the world. So in the back of my office, there is a big bunker where you can visit biodiversity of maize and wheat. So if you can ever make it to Mexico, you can visit the biodiversity of maize and wheat. You may have heard of the big gene bank that sits in Norway, where it sits in the ice carved in. Little secret, maize and wheat is a copy of what we have in Mexico. And the good thing is that biodiversity is safeguarded for humanity in Norway, but in Mexico, we use it to make new, strong varieties. So that biodiversity is looked at in a multi-crop, multi-institutional, multidisciplinary platform. We look at the different alleles that may be available in that biodiversity through allele mining, so to then use for genomics, quantitative genetics, gene sequencing, population genetics, biometrics, bioinformatics, GIS, gene bank curation, physiology, project management, phenotyping, breeding, artificial intelligence, satellite imagery. We bring all that together to produce state-of-the-art new seeds. And those state-of-the-art new seeds need state-of-the-art infrastructure. And so this is Prasanna's baby, one of the big facilities. Yeah, it does deserve a round of applause with more enthusiasm. A state-of-the-art double haploid facility, first of its kind in Asia, and it is in Kunigal in Karnataka that we have this infrastructure. Available for whom? Available for CIMMYT, yes, but also available for seed companies, also available for ICAR, actually available for whomever wants to work with the double haploids for maize to accelerate the new maize varieties. I'm a simple agronomist, so if you want to know more about this really works, I'm not going to try to explain because I'm going to get in trouble with Prasanna. So you can ask Prasanna after the presentation. Those exercises, for example, this is the map on the screen for wheat germplasm distribution just only in 2024. Every star on this map, every blue star on this map is where CIMMYT has sent new wheat germplasm to be used locally. Of course, you can see India on this map with a lot of stars, very intense collaboration, but you can also see that germplasm is sent to the US. I do want you to help me to spread the message that 60% of the wheat in the US, in America, comes from CIMMYT's collaboration, comes from CIMMYT. I'm talking to my European colleagues, I'm from Belgium, so they seem to forget that a lot of the wheat in Belgium also is there, in Belgium, in Europe, is there because of the collaboration with CIMMYT. Look at all the blue dots that we have there. And of course, Africa, yeah, wheat for Africa, wheat in Africa, in Ethiopia, a success story of implementation of wheat. So, sorry. Every year, you see this table with envelopes. Every year, we send 500,000 packages of seed from Mexico to the rest of the world. Apologies for that. And now I need to be careful that I'm not throwing this water over your nice... All right. But maize and wheat alone cannot develop resilient nor nutritious systems. If you only eat maize and wheat, you don't have a healthy diet. If you only eat chapati, it will not be healthy. You also need the dal, you also need the other vegetables in that. But some of those other vegetables did not get the same investment as maize and wheat. They don't have an international center for maize and wheat, for Bambara groundnut, or for finger millet, or for sesame, or for pigeon pea. So we collaborate with ICRISAT, with World Veg, with multiple other centers, but we have also identified where in Africa there are original vegetable crops or original diversification crops that could benefit from all the research we have done in maize and wheat to set up seed systems, for example, that can take advantage. And that's so not only the seed company sells maize seed, but also seed from taro or amaranth, etc., etc. So crop diversification is one of the important elements. And some of the recommendations we give to farmers is to actually plant less maize, but plant maybe a new crop, a different crop, a more nutritious and resilient crop, while the same volume of maize can be produced by high-yielding maize varieties. One of the examples here is the Regional Trialing Network for dryland crops that is testing out all those crops throughout the African continent in order to learn from that. And you can see how it then can be combined with maize in intercropping, etc. We don't only do the seed, we also work on regenerative agriculture. Just to give you one fact, CIMMYT's work resulted in 1 billion liters of fungicide application avoided since 2000 in the 2000s alone. So the integrated pest management, setting up regenerative agriculture is actually saving the environment. And then you see the picture on this slide. I think you're gonna like this. I just asked ChatGPT, make a drawing of what CIMMYT has done in regenerative agriculture. And this was the drawing that came out. I don't know if it's good or bad, but you can see what ChatGPT thinks we are doing on regenerative agriculture. And if you look very carefully, I think I see Mahesh in blue somewhere there at the left side. So that is definitely ChatGPT knew something. All joking aside, CIMMYT is working on sustainable agri-food systems, regenerative agriculture, transformation pathways in big programs in Latin America, where we have developed a Masagro hub model. In Africa, where we have used innovation hubs and systems approaches to take that fantastic seed, but incorporate it to improved mechanization, smallholder mechanization, conservation agriculture, zero-till practices, crop rotation, but also decision support tools via mobile or via other applications. In Asia, we have, of course, worked also with the CISA program that some of you have been active in. Now that brings me to India. What are CIMMYT and you? Because when I talk about CIMMYT, I don't talk about just CIMMYT as the institution, but CIMMYT and our collaborators, and ICAR is a key collaborator, and IARI also is. What has been the benefit of having a CIMMYT for India? CIMMYT contributes 50% of the improved wheat cultivated in India. 6 of the 10 top bred wheat varieties currently covering the area are directly coming from the ICAR-CIMMYT-BISA collaboration. You may be wondering what BISA is. BISA is the Borlaug Institute for South Asia, a special institute that we developed with support from the federal government and several state governments. And so CIMMYT and BISA are the 2 platforms that we use here in the region. So CIMMYT, BISA, and ICAR are working together. In 2023, the harvest of wheat surpassed 110 million tons for the first time in this country. That was a huge achievement. Our collaboration dates back from the beginnings, because Dr. Borlaug started the collaboration here by visiting the first time, and we have the report of his visit to India in 1963. That became the start of the Green Revolution. And I think you can see him here on the T, I believe, where he is discussing with important political decision makers the potential of the Green Revolution. And you can, I hope you recognize also Dr. Swaminathan, who was also the director of IARI. So you can see him here also on the picture with Dr. Borlaug. CIMMYT currently is working in Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Karnataka, and Telangana. In 2011, ICAR and CIMMYT together launched the Borlaug Institute for South Asia. So the CIMMYT BISA is the active platform where we want to invite you, all as students, to collaborate with us. But in 2015 and 2023, more than 308 CIMMYT-derived spring wheat varieties were released to national partners in 27 countries. And actually in India, 53 of those 308 were here in India. Our accomplishments along with Indian farmers and institutions. We have done capacity building together for 30,000 stakeholders, including 2,000 agricultural scientists. So let me check who from the people in the room was trained by CIMMYT BISA. Yeah, I see you hesitating. Few, 1, 2, 3, few more. No? Okay, so we have a big event 8 and 9 September called Dialogue Next. I'm gonna make sure that we get this done, where CIMMYT and IARI will sign an agreement so that more students can be connected to the CIMMYT activity. So next time when I come back and I ask who was trained, thanks also to CIMMYT, the whole room can say yes. Okay. Now be careful. I'm not saying that the whole room will come to Mexico. Okay. Before you get crazy ideas. CIMMYT, ICAR, CCAFs, and BITA introduced the concept of climate smart agricultural villages in 2,000 villages. Quality protein maize, Dr. Vassal, still, this is a strong source, strong research line for CIMMYT. We have been strongly encouraged also by Dr. Parola to continue thinking about nutrition in maize varieties. 26 open pollinated maize varieties and 11 high-yielding stress-resilient maize hybrids have been released recently in India, thanks to the collaboration with CIMMYT BISA. Since 2017, 24 biofortified high zinc wheat varieties released here in India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. You may not see it, but the wheat in India is becoming more zinc enriched as new varieties are released, because CIMMYT has streamlined high zinc in its breeding pipelines, and I will show a few numbers on that. 85 wheat varieties, which 34 from CIMMYT, ICAR, and BISA collaboration in the last decade. In the past 60 years, 275 wheat varieties have been developed here in India. With BISA, CIMMYT BISA, more than a decade contributing to the agricultural transformation in South Asia. So it's a partnership that has been looking at climate change, that has been using those platforms and farms that we have throughout the country, and we developed the Atlas of Climate Adaptation in South Asian Agriculture. But we're also thinking ahead. What's new? What more needs to happen? Nitrogen and nitrogen use in agriculture is one of the processes that is extremely inefficient. Only 30% roughly of the nitrogen is effectively used by the system. So if you underutilize nitrogen, that is not good, because if it's only 30% and there is already not enough, we want to increase that. If you overutilize, it's also not good, because it means it goes into the environment. So we are now working on biological nitrification inhibition in wheat. And we have a proposal for maize biological nitrification inhibition. So if you have, if you know a rich uncle somewhere, tell him he can invest in biological nitrification inhibition, so that we can together develop it also for maize. More than a decade, we have been contributing an atlas. The CIMMYT Borlaug Institute for South Asia has developed a climate change atlas that is transforming South Asia, with 200,000 stakeholder capacities, 200 research papers, 170 million subsidies were repurposed towards the happy seeders, zero-till seeders, but also decision support systems. So it's not only about the research papers, it's about really putting research on the ground and making it work for the farmers. So this atlas is online. You can look it up. In each of the in this online tool, you can look at cereals, fruits and vegetables, but also livestock, fishery, and you will get maps on how climate change is impacting, but also how certain technologies can mitigate that impact. And of course, a lot of that knowledge comes from multiple stakeholders out there. I want to really thank India, the Indian government, and the Indian people, you all. Because globally, you have really played a role that have saved literally lives of people on the ground. Let me tell you one story that I think we need to tell more to the world. There were all those wheat varieties and wheat planted in multiple farms in Latin America, Africa, and here in Asia. And one day in 1999, we found in Uganda a new rust disease. And you know, scientists are not very creative, so we called it UG99, Uganda 99, okay? So that UG99 was actually a new rust disease. As you can see, history repeats itself. Borlaug started his work on rust in 99, new UG99 disease comes up. None of the wheat varieties were actually resistant to UG99. So we went back to the biodiversity, found resistant lines, did the breeding efforts, sent out the seeds, and could distribute UG99 resistant varieties. And so very few in the world heard about UG99. While it could have been COVID for wheat, right? It could have been a global disaster for the wheat production. It was not, it was avoided thanks to the collaboration. And moreover, now we have a sampling network or a monitoring network throughout the world that picks up those rust diseases before they become a problem. Very similarly, fall armyworm. The fall armyworm is actually a worm that we are very used to, and we know it very well in Mexico. It's a worm that goes like in the middle of the maize plant, and it took a plane. We will not say where it came from to not get anybody into trouble, but it traveled with somebody on a plane, arrived to Africa, and started to spread rapidly through the African continent. It was thanks to the team of the maize program that was led by Prasanna and many collaborators that we found natural resistance to fall armyworm. It's no surprise that that natural resistance was sitting in an original land race from Mexico, because in Mexico the disease is very endemic. But that land race is not highly producing. It produces very few grains. So that natural resistance was incorporated in the maize, and a huge program was set up in Africa to replace varieties now with fall armyworm resistant varieties. It also was used now, it's incorporated now here in the South Asian germplasm. And guess what? When I talked to the European Commission, the lady responsible for integrated pest management was actually a little bit panicking because fall armyworm has been knocking on the door of Europe. It is now moving into the European continent, and the germplasm of Europe is not resistant to fall armyworm. So I think we need to learn from what we did here in India, to learn from what we did in Africa, and incorporate it in that European germplasm. Very similar, in Bangladesh, a platform for wheat blast was established. And I was recently talking to the ambassador of the UK. She was also a little bit panicking because blast has reached the UK, and UK wheat is not resistant to blast. So once again, international collaboration will have to work together to safeguard wheat in the UK. Over 15,000 lines were tested here in India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Training capacities have been developed for that blast hub. 100 participants from 10 countries trained. So this knowledge here can now be the basis for a response program somewhere out there, maybe in the UK. Zinc biofortified wheat. In South Asia, in India, more than 15 biofortified varieties have been released. They have 30 to 40% higher zinc, and they're now planted on 3 million hectares. Same in Pakistan and same in Nepal. And one thing that CIMMYT wants to do is to do everything or every activity with excellence. You have 3 World Food Prize winners. CIMMYT has several of its scientists highly recognized with recognitions from your government, from a very important one that you see here, the Swaminathan Award for Leadership in Agriculture. So imagine if we bring together you as the youth and an institution with a legacy of World Food Prize winners and other awardees, and CIMMYT with a global footprint that really means we can once again do some kind of a revolution. Will it be green or blue, or the important thing is it will transform the IARI food systems so that it is resistant for climate, so that it is absolutely ready for nutrition at a global scale. As you hope, I hope you have learned by now, CIMMYT is not working on its own. It is working through a network of collaborators that you can see here on the screen. Before I stop and maybe open for questions that you may have on the presentation, I would like you to look at the person that is sitting at your left side. Look at the guy or the girl that is sitting next to your left. And don't see you looking, I can see you. So look at the person to your left. Do you know him or her? Yeah, you know them. Look at the ones at the right. What do you think? Interesting? More or less? I was told you are all from very different schools with very different capabilities. I was also told you like IA, artificial intelligence, maybe to cheat a little bit on some of the homework, but smart, definitely yes. Have you seen the person to your left? I think you agree with me that he or she is very smart, very dedicated, and very skilled in at least one discipline. If you look at the person at your right, you will also agree with me that is huge talent. Otherwise, there is no weak talent in IARI, okay? So there is a huge potential in this room. That is now established. You have scientifically corroborated that there's huge potential in this room. But this was Dr. Borlaug who said, you cannot feed a family with potential. You cannot give food to a family with potential. You cannot give nutrition to a family with potential. You can definitely not give security to a country with potential. So I want to invite you, who are the future of this country, to turn your potential fully into impact with farmers, into impact for the security, for the food security of this great nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your listening to your thoughts. Very aptly said, a hungry person is an angry person, and the answer is agriculture. Now I'd like to invite esteemed Dr. R.S. Paroda, sir, for his chairman's remarks. After that, in class. Okay, then we will have an interaction session. Dean ma'am will moderate it.
There is a little change in the program. So first we will have an interaction of speaker of the day, Dr. Bram, with the students and the faculty. So please raise your hands, those who have any question, any curiosity. And just before this interaction starts, I would like to add to what Professor Bram indicated in his lecture, that now very soon, very, very soon, we are going to crystallize upon the research partnership through the students between IARI and CIMMYT. So that this will be just like, a program, just like a sandwich program, wherein students will be completing their coursework and then they will be moving into the CIMMYT settings based upon the pre-decided, mutually agreed upon research problems. And you will have the mentors also from CIMMYT. So a big future is waiting for our students. Of course, for the young faculty, as more emphasis is being given. So in that context, yeah, questions. Yeah, so Dave, yeah.
So much of the insightful lecture. So I want to ask, whenever it is working, have you ever encountered any kind of agro-terrorism? Because in this in the geopolitical conflict these days, is there any encounter with agro-terrorism in any recent which CIMMYT is working? And if there is, what is your take on that?
Mike.
Dr. Vinod.
Thank you. And next, sorry.
Excellent question. So, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go into details of examples, but bioterrorism, agroterrorism is an issue. But we look at food security, there's three different elements where it is on the one hand making sure enough food so that that we don't have angry men who create instability. Second, agriculture and agri-food systems per se can be subject to some of agroterrorism or bioterrorism, and I spoke on the matter with the NATO very recently. And then, of course, the last element is that we can, of course, create a space, because whatever the tensions are in the world, I had the pleasure to be, or the honor, rather, to be at the New Security Conference where the different dignitaries talked about their vision for the world, and there were very opposite visions. But I made a comment saying all of them had cereals for breakfast, right? They had a piece of bread, or they maybe had an egg, or they maybe had whatever they had eaten. It came either from maize, wheat, or rice. So whatever your background is, very likely for breakfast or for dinner, you are eating cereals. So I think food should also be the space where, most importantly, we can talk about peace and we can talk about coming together beyond maybe different ideas or different things. So that's also where CIMMYT is an important space of neutrality, of discussions beyond any geopolitical tensions, to further the cause.
Yeah. Mike, did you? Third row. Student, please be seated.
So where the organization maybe in agriculture, there will be so many organizations working out. But in research as well as implementation, there is this coordination. So, CIMMYT is a national or international organization. What is that as we tend to integrate the research as well as implementation from the nation or from our.
Thank you so much. Excellent comments. I think that the shift also in CIMMYT's thinking is we don't only do research, we need to make sure we also create the interface so that research reaches the farmer. So I was mentioning Dialogue Next, and the dilemma of that Dialogue Next is taken to the farmers. It is making sure that those innovations come to the farmers. So CIMMYT is working hard on creating that interface with seed companies, but also with startups, but also with NGOs and humanitarian organizations. When those humanitarian organizations go and give out seed in Sudan or in Yemen or in, we want them to do that with drought-tolerant maize instead of with, and I didn't talk about drought-tolerant maize, so that's another very important area of research in Africa. If the other way can give out seed, whether it be drought-tolerant with high UPM or with high zinc or whatever is required for the diet. So yes, we need to do better coordination. On the one hand. On the other hand, I also think to coordinate, we need to speak the same language, have the same idea of where we are going. So one of the things that is also very strongly that we are increasing our capability is to design future scenarios or future strategies, big integrated programs where we all agree that we are more or less are going, and then can collaborate in that direction. That's always easy to say. We should coordinate. Coordination starts from having the same picture in your mind or of where we eventually want to go with agriculture in a country, in a region, in a state. So that capability of designing the systems of the future is extremely important. And this is where the capabilities of students that know modeling, that know computer simulations, that can design those future systems that work are going to be extremely.
So we will have just one question. Sir. Yeah. Next, we will have from Dr. Sahara.
what is of actual production program of CIMMYT? Because it's what is important in listen.
Biofuel production program. Biofuel production program.
So, biofuel is of course an important use of maize, as maize is used for feed, as maize is used for plastics, as maize is used for biofuel. So, CIMMYT is not working for a particular cause or for a particular direction. It's simply for all the use of maize to make sure that all those uses have sufficient supply. So then biofuel becomes a policy element that we need to take into account. So when I was discussing this vision of the future, biofuel becomes an element that we need to include in that vision of the future if we want to have it, and then make sure that the maize production is sufficient for food, for feed, for fuel.
So we will have the last, okay. So there are two questions. One is from Dr. Saharan and then from Dr. A.K. Singh, sir.
Thanks, Dr. Bram, for the excellent presentation. And thanks to the CIMMYT for the successful collaboration with India in South Asia. And with this collaboration, as I, Dr. Saharan from Directorate of Nutrition Technology, now there as a head factor. So I coordinated the surveillance program, and our UG99, we were associated from the first day. And then this material was tested at Kenya every year for the advanced lines. So that certainly helped in developing the registered varieties. And now in India, we have many varieties which are registered to, because they are having SR31, then other genes are there. So when this UG99 could not reach India, epidemiologically or distance or other factors and the collaboration. So we are safe till now from UG99, but there are many variants and they have reached to other countries. So this evaluation should be strengthened at Kenya. So during last 20 years, it is no risk in India, but that evaluation in Kenya should be strengthened further. It is going on. Then every blast. But it came in 2016 in February, 16 February. So this was a race and CIMMYT alarm for South Asia. So in India, we don't have lead blast. It was managed. Otherwise, that can also be a risk in the border areas and through the facility development at their source. But now we should also think there are some issues in Bangladesh. So those facilities should be available, strengthening.
Sure, doctor.
And there are some other disease also. And this surveillance, which day we started, I coordinated from India, or South Asia. So that also helped a lot. So thanks to all the CIMMYT, Dr. Singh, but Brother Ram, due to that we have the resistant material. So only these are the.
Thank you, doctor.
Required.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for your interventions, doctor.
Thanks, Dr. Bram, for standing presentation highlighting CIMMYT's innovation in relation to global food security. My question is, what is the CIMMYT take on hybrid wheat? I don't hear much these days, but I am told from private sector, including Corteva, they are actually breakthrough in coming out with the productivity.
Thank you for the comments and the question. Before I take the question, reacting to the comments, first and foremost, thank you for everything you did. Thanks to these collaborations and scientists like yourself, and I would say leaders like yourself, that we could avoid G99 and this loss. I may invite you to give some conversations or some talks because you are a living testimony of what can be done. And I agree with you. The testing in Kenya should continue. It should accelerate. The surveillance system should continue. Should accelerate. But we have one big problem that is very difficult to interest people to give money when there is not a crisis. It's very difficult to give money for a crisis that is avoided. When the crisis is there, the money comes. But if you're avoiding the crisis, it's more difficult to show. So right now, and it's not a secret, USAID or the US government was a big supporter of CIMMYT, USAID, so we're there. Those surveillance systems, 40% of CIMMYT's budget is coming from the US government. those surveillance were a big part of that US funding. So we are telling the story because I am convinced that there will be enlightened decision makers that want to prevent before they have to pay for the crisis, because the crisis is always between 100 to 10,000 times more expensive to invest once the crisis happened than preventing the crisis. So maybe I will invite you to give a few talks or a few statements so that we can keep attracting investment in this very, very important work. Most importantly, thanks for everything you have done already. Collaboration. On hybrid fleet, it's like a coming back discussion. There are breakthroughs indeed. There are two clear bottlenecks, making the hybridization technology work on a commercial scale, and then there's of course the system. As CIMMYT, we are looking again into hybrid fleet just again, but under a very particular model, which is a model of a kind of a research suite. What we want a kind of a mission, we call it a mission type of research. So basically say we're going to do a look at everything, and then we're going to have to make a decision for once and for all. Is this scientifically sound, or is it not? And if it's scientifically sound, how do we make it work? Or if it's not, why it's not? So we can actually see where to put the dollars very wisely, or the rupees, or the euros, or fine, whatever currency they come in, as long as we can invest them in the right things. So more to come in the coming weeks.
So with that, we come to the end of this interaction session. But dear students and our faculty, kindly do write to Dr. Bram on his email for further, queries and your points of interest for further collaborations. So with that, thank you very much. And now I request Dr. R.S. Barodaji, the chairman of this session, to kindly give his remarks.
You would all agree that the lecture today, which is in the series being organized by IARI Alumni Association in partnership with IARI, I think fourth or fifth one, has clearly reflected that such interaction is important, not only from the point of view of better and good knowledge that we got from the presentation of Dr. Bram, but also to remind with regard to the achievements that we had in the past through partnership with CIMMYT. If there had not been international partnership, which he said started in 1964, Dr. Borlaug, Dr. Swaminathan, IARI, CIMMYT, possibly Green Revolution would have not come. And at that time in 1964, I had joined for my PhD at this institute. And first time the seeds of Green Revolution were being sown in the village Jonti, where we used to go as PhD students with the Borlaug and Dr. Swaminathan. So the message is that this partnership must continue and must get strengthened. We are really happy that this partnership is now being further strengthened, and through the programs that we have of CIMMYT in India, and also establishment of Borlaug Institute for South Asia, what is called BISA. There are greater options of such collaboration. Collaboration is needed not only for more exchange of germ plasm or human resource development, but collaboration also to guard against the transboundary diseases which seem to be emerging from time to time. And we are happy to again get a message that we could contain UG99. We could also, in the recent past, contain wheat blast and wage army, what you call is the army, fall army war. Wage army, fall army war also is a new challenge which has come through Bangladesh. Blast also came from that side, and more cooperation in that regard would be needed. The statement which Dr. Borlaug made while receiving the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970, which Bram brought out in the beginning, probably you would appreciate that you can't have peace on empty stomach. And that's why we must produce and produce more. And I'm happy that today we are second in wheat production globally. In maize, things are moving very fast. Again, we have to place our appreciation on record for the contributions that Indian scientists working at CIMMYT had made. Dr. Rajaram in wheat, after Borlaug, and then Ravi Singh, and then in case of maize, Dr. Vassal, and now we have Prasanna. Good that you have come now to South Asia and looking after also visa. And then we hope that this kind of collaboration and cooperation would get strengthened. We need to also have more partnership with IARI, which was rightly brought out. This is the seat of green revolution, and therefore CIMMYT, whatever could accomplish at that time and make an impact was possibly because we had the cradles of agriculture or success of agriculture created at that time, which were, according to Dr. Borlaug, policy support, institutions like IARI, and human resource like Dr. Swaminathan. If they were not in place, and then partnership, of course, of these. So, realizing that we have to have also address future challenges, and they are still before us for nutrition and for environmental security, for climate change. And we need the heat tolerant, terminal heat tolerant wheats, need more aggressive work. We started with CIMMYT also, and India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, that time, a program on rice wheat consortium to bring in zero-till wheat system, rice wheat system. And today, due to that, we have about 3.5 million hectare covered. India alone has about 10 million hectares in Indo-Gangetic plains in the rice wheat system. So we need to double it, and the technologies are there. So probably what we require is a missionary approach to have greater impact by scaling the innovation. Other innovation which we have seen, Mahesh Gatala is also sitting here, and Dr. M.L. Jat was also with CIMMYT working before, and on the regenerative agriculture, conservation agriculture. And conservation agriculture, we have to take also to the dryland area and make our gray areas green. That's another opportunity. And I'm happy to see that now there is a diversification of the portfolio with regard to crops on which CIMMYT is working. Earlier, it used to be only wheat and maize. Now, as you said, in case of Africa, you are working on almost 7 or 8 crops. And so whatever is need of the hour, if we have to have rice wheat system replaced, then if we have to go for soybean and wheat system, then I hope CIMMYT will adopt and initiate work on soybean rather than only wheat and wheat alone. Maize in India is making great impact. In the last 2 decades, it's almost 3.5 times increase in our overall production from 10 million tons to 35 million tons. And the fastest growth in the cereal is in maize, 4.5% today. Now we want to move ahead and forward, and I'm glad that that time CIMMYT was not working on hybrid maize. So I was in ICR, insisted upon, and the hybrid maize program was started. We got the best inbred lines. Dr. Vassal gave us QPM hybrids, and that's how for the first time in the whole world, India got the QPM single cross maize hybrids. And those, when they were released by 2000, in 1 decade, we could double our maize production. But I see that now hybrid maize program is again slowed down. But deployed hybrid, they have the what dihaploid facility which has been now created should be more actively and rather proactively used in our maize program. And I hope, Dr. Prasanna, you would be able to ensure that. I don't want to make it a long one, but would like to say that it had been very enlightening speech, and the kind of achievements that are there. Still, there is partnership. Lot of varieties that we have in India in wheat have the germ plant or pre-breeding material involved from CIMMYT. And what we want is also the partnership for human resource development. And you have assured, hopefully there would be better work plan under the MOU, broad MOU with ICR and CIMMYT, where we can have the exchange of our students, and IARI Alumni Association will be very happy to facilitate that process. Lastly, as was said clearly that globally, peace is now a challenge. And also, when it comes through food, then the movement of food also has become a challenge due to conflict. And the major supplier of wheat was Ukraine. And after the war, there are problems. India has therefore emerged as one of the good global supplier of cereals, including rice and wheat. But how can we have the benefit of these new opportunities to capture not only the local or internal market, but how can we also go for globalization through the possibilities of export. And India has to touch 1 trillion economy by 2030 out of the target of 5 trillion. And agriculture must provide 20% of the GDP, which is currently around 15 to 17%. So we have to accelerate our agricultural growth and make sure that we have possibilities of export and possibilities of export of not only wheat and rice, but also of maize. Currently, we are even importing maize. So for feed and options are great. Farmers can be benefited through biofuel. Government policies are in favor of biofuel from maize. So there are opportunities, and we will therefore have to look for value addition and markets abroad and explore the possibilities in terms of how can we not only negotiate for more export, but bring in peace globally, because after COVID, earlier we had the poverty to around 800 million people in the whole world, and that had increased by 195 million additional. And as was mentioned, roughly about 17 countries or 18 countries are at a level where the food is not available, and there is a great crisis of the kind which we noticed in West Bengal in 1943, when we had about 3 million people who died just because not supplying the food. Food was there in India, but policy of then the government of UK not to provide food in Western Bengal had created that kind of what we call in Bengal famine. That was not due to disease, but that was due to lack of supply of food. Peace, therefore, is important. Food is to be provided, and we must make sure that not only we provide food, but nutritious food, and therefore biofortification program also, which has been initiated and being taken note of. We should try to see how we capitalize with regard to that, and regenerative agriculture demands that we go in for more of the technologies by which you can save on costly inputs, increase your production, and link yourself to market for better income to the farmers. So these challenges, we alone possibly would not be able to make it, and therefore we need the international collaboration. And this kind of partnership should continue and should further be strengthened. And we must today remember Dr. Borlaug and Dr. Swaminathan. While and by ending my comment, I see if those brains were not together and the environment was not ripe to provide the support to import, at that time, I think globally it is known, nowhere in the world 18,000 tons of wheat were imported just in 4 months' time. And seed, not only, I mean, it is wheat grains, but it is the seed of those improved varieties from Mexico to get into India, which led to grain revolution. So those kinds of policy support and initiative still would be needed. And I'm sure we will be able to ensure peace through better food, better nutrition, and better environmental security. So once again, let us thank Dr. Bram for his excellent.
Thank you very much, sir, for summarizing the whole lecture and for your words of wisdom, as always. Now it's time to felicitate the speaker of today's function. So I would like to request all the dignitaries on the dais, as well as Prasanna sir and Dr. Lisette, kindly come and join in honoring the speaker. Strategic Advisor Lisette, you come here. Thank you very much, sir. Now I'd like to request A.K. Singh sir for the words of thanks.
It's my pleasant duty to extend a formal vote of thanks at the outset to Bram for an outstanding lecture that he has given on science and innovation for food security and peace. He touched upon many things, of course, trade and geopolitics. And the important thing is that he mentioned agri-food resilient systems and diversification, crop diversification, particularly vegetables and for dairy and agriculture. He also traced the history of CIMMYT. In fact, for me also, it was a knowledge that started somewhere in 1940s, before the 1966. And then, of course, the role that CIMMYT has played in UG 99 and all along. We are all very aware of all these things. And of course, you mentioned, I think very important thing is that prevention is always much cheaper than the cure of any. So I think this is what the planner should think of seriously now, because challenges are increasing in spite of all our efforts. And as you mentioned, the more countries are going to become food insecure in spite of all the work that we have done. I would just like to just modify your statement. We have 4 IARI alumni who are World Food Prize winners out of 6 Indians. You mentioned 3. Yeah. In fact, there are 4 from IARI itself. Out of the total 6 that Indians. Dr. Swaminathan was first one. Dr. Raja Ram was there. Dr. Ratan Lal is there. And Dr. Vasa. So, as an IARI alumni, I felt that we should probably add that name also. Thank you very much. So thank you very much again, once again, and for telling us the sort of work which CIMMYT is doing nationally and internationally. And we are, of course, are aware that probably all the challenges that we are facing today, international collaboration is very, very important. No single country or system can probably find the solutions. Thank you very much for a very outstanding lecture. I would also like to thank Chairman Rajesh Kuroda. He's the president of IA, the dynamic force behind IA and what we have been doing since last about 15 months or so. He's chairman, Tarshan, was former secretary there, Government of India and DG ICAR. It is here under his guidance that we have been able to do many things. And this series is, in fact, his brainchild. So thank you, sir, for coming. You all have a very busy schedule, but coming here to for this program. So thank you very much. Of course, Dr. Prasanna, Director, Asia, and Dr. Mahesh Gattala, India. Thanks to you. Very special thanks, because you were able to, manage things so that we were able to bring Dr. Bram here today with us. Dr. Srinivas Rao, Director IARI. I know he's looking at the watch. He has to rush to some meeting. Anyway, thank you very much. He's also the chief patron of IA. So his patron and Dr. Anupma Singh, who's the patron of IA, it is their patronage makes it possible to organize all these things in a very smooth manner. Of course, to Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh, the former director IRI, he was really his initiative that we could have a proper office and a functional office now. So thanks to him, of course, as director, he was also the chief patron of IEA. We are also thankful to Dr. Sahu, head of the Division of Agricultural Engineering, who's provided us all the facilities that we see here, and to, of course, all the heads of the division and faculty of IARI and the students who have come here. We have almost about 100 online participants, because IARI alumni is spread all over the world, so we sent a circular. So a good number of them also join online. Thanks to them, all of the special ones. And of course, to the graduate school for the support they provide in organizing all these things, particularly Dr. Vinod and Dr. Atul. So they are the ones who take care of all the logistics and take it. And there are many, of course, who are associated, very difficult to take names when we make this sort of function, particularly all the people who are looking after the audiovisual, like Mr. Nitin and some from the AKM unit. Also, they are the ones who facilitate all these things. So, sir, with these words, sir, I would like to once again, thank each and every one of you who are here, and Dr. Bram in particular for a very excellent. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I invite everyone for a cup of tea outside the auditorium.